Wake up, everybody! It's time to get squared away with Navy SEAL Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford. As a behavioral training expert, top motivational speaker, author, and performance coach, it's my mission in life to help you defeat the negative insurgency in your life. So get fired up to use Froglogic, the Navy SEAL training program, to help you succeed in any environment imaginable. HOOYAH! All right.
Load the weapon, boys, and aim to kill. Don't you know I ain't got a fighting will?
Wake up, America! I know everybody is fired up. You've been celebrating July 4th weekend. Everybody blew your fingertips off last night, I'm sure. You went out to Phantom Fireworks, Billy. They went out, they spent $400 on fireworks, and they blasted them all. They kept their neighbors up until the middle of the night, and now, you know what? Even after all that, they're up and they're raring to go. You guys are fired up out there. I know you are. I know you've gotten up, you've done your burpees, you've done your morning wad, you're raring to go in this beautiful, amazing, God bless America, patriotic weekend. That's what I'm talking about. You are 100% fired up to celebrate the 4th of July, aren't you? Now that gets me going, Billy. As you can tell, I'm a little fired up, aren't I?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for that help there. I appreciate that. So here's the deal, though, folks. What you want to think about, right, is you want to think about what the 4th is all about. You want to think about, the 4th of July and the Revolutionary War, right? Right? Where did that come from? It came from our forefathers, right? Our in ancient times in the 1700s of our country, right? Wanting to throw off the tyranny of misrepresentation, right? Wanted to get rid of taxation without representation. They were sick of being unjustly clumped in with a country that was on the other side of the Atlantic, man. Not cool. And so what did we start doing, folks? We started saying, you know what, this ain't cool. Let's get together. Let's all say, hey, let's establish our own government. Let's come up with our own new idea, our own new democracy. Man, think about that. Think about what it must have felt like with Adams and Jefferson and Washington and all these other cats out there that were like, all right, we're going to do this thing, man. I'll tell you what it felt like. They were scared as hell, folks. They were literally scared to the bone. That's right. They had fear that was going all through them. But you know what? Because they were together, because they were solid and they knew what was on what the stakes were, they didn't mind. They went full forward. They went with the full force of that unity together, man. And you think about what they did in those times, right? Washington crossing the Delaware and beating the Husseins out there. All the stuff that was going on. I mean, all the battles. I mean, folks, this was an amazing accomplishment for a bunch of farmers. But why were they able to do that? Why were they able to all of a sudden create the greatest country that the world has ever known? The greatest democracy, the greatest amount of opportunity for everybody? Because they embraced their fears, folks. That's right. You heard what I'm saying, man. You heard me loud and clear. They embraced their fears, folks. They embraced their fears and they got together and they started the team life and they coalesced this beautiful idea into something monumental and they charged forth to create America. And God bless them for it. Imagine if they hadn't done it. Imagine if you were a British subject right now, or you were a Spanish subject, or you were, Russian or something like that. Imagine how that would feel. No way, man. God bless America and everything she stands for, right, Buzz? That's the way it works, folks. Now, in order to do that, in order to learn how to embrace your fear, folks, there's a whole series of things you got to begin to even remotely understand. And I want you to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? Do you have illogical fear in your life, right? Are you afraid of spiders and snakes? Billy, are you afraid of spiders, buddy?
No.
No, that's good. That's good, right? People who are out there that are afraid of spiders, that they're going to bite them and they're going to kill them. There's like 6 spider deaths a year in the world. And they're all in Australia. All right, don't get me wrong, it can be kind of nasty. I've had to debride someone's knee from a brown recluse spider bite before, but think about it. These things are the size of your thumb, and people are freaking out over them, or cockroaches, or snakes, or all this stuff. Or my favorite new one that people are absolutely mortified by with fear, right, is the zombie apocalypse. Right? The fact that tomorrow the zombies are going to all of a sudden start breeding and come out of nowhere. They're going to be everywhere that you can imagine, and we're going to have to all rip out our ARs and just mow them down, right? What's first rule, right? Cardio. Got to be fast. You got to be able to outrun a zombie, Billy. That's just the way it is. Well, folks, let me tell you what. Don't be afraid of that. That's illogical stuff. Think about, where did these illogical fears come from? Was it from the time you were a child? Did you grow up with them? Was it even earlier than that? Were you a neonate? Is it just something that you learned or someone taught you from whether your parents or someone out there? Someone's teaching you this stuff. Or maybe it's the intrinsic fear that's in us all, that's built into us. Now, here's another thing. There's logical fear as well, too, Billy. All right, and this is where it's all relative to our own personal safety, right? The safety of our families, their survival, being able to eat and sleep with a roof over our head, have clothes on our backs, be able to provide for the people we care about, our love, our team, right? Very, very logical fears. And then, to enhance those, people are very afraid of terrorism. People are very afraid of poverty and sickness, right? Right, these are very logical fears because it's the world we live in. If you don't believe that that's the case, folks, then you need to think again. It is the world we live in. So what you have to do, folks, is you have to begin to understand that this part of fear is going to be a part of your life no matter what. And then it spills into our psychosis as well, too, right? Our behavioral makeup, our cognitive approach to things, the fear of failure. The fear of not being loved, the fear of being in a bad relationship, the fear of not being good at what we do for a living, the fear of not having purpose in your life, the fear of not having faith or God be a part of your life. Heavy, heavy, heavy fears. Now, folks, you gotta really stop for a second and say, and halt, right? Where do these fears come from? You gotta think about that. And folks, I want you to know that's what today's show's about, and that's what the next 6 shows are about, and that we're 5 shows after today's show, 6 total on the series about embracing fear. And today's show title, Navy SEAL Training, Embrace Your Fears. This is just the first in the next 6 weeks of great Navy SEAL radio shows on this topic specifically, embrace fear, because this is the big new focus for Team Froglogic and Froglogic Concepts, the FLC network, and everything we do on social media, on YouTube, on the radio show, on our website, on all the blogs we enter, the new videos we're releasing. Folks, this is what this next 7 weeks is all about, is really helping you. That's our mission at Team Froglogic. Our mission is to help you understand some very important things to help you succeed in any environment imaginable in your life, to be able to take on the negative insurgency head on by using Froglogic. All right, Froglogic is my motivational philosophy that I've been working on for 20 plus years, and this amazing exploration of the human condition, and that's what we've come out with. And now the cool thing is I combine this with 70 plus years of Navy SEAL operations, training, and elite lifestyle performance, folks. This is what Froglogic is all about, and it is our mission here on Navy SEAL Radio to help you learn to embrace your fears, all right? So I hope everybody's fired up. So, as we typically do most shows, or almost all shows, is we'll define what fear is today, and then we'll move into how Navy SEALs embrace fear, and then I'll talk to you about the next 5 weeks and the missions we're going to talk about. And then we've got just an amazing guest on today, folks. One of a teammate of mine, one of the true legends of the SEAL teams, a true hero, and I know he's cringing in his boots when I say that, but I say that about every single teammate of mine out there, because anybody who's served downrange, anybody who's worn a trident, in my book is a legend, because it takes a lot of ability to embrace your fear in order to jump into the mix by becoming a Navy SEAL. So, this guy is amazing. Not only was he a SEAL, but he's now an MMA fighter, and more importantly, he's a phenomenal father, and he's a phenomenal husband, man. I mean, this guy knows the deal when it comes to fear. So we're going to have Jeremiah Patrick on, folks, in a little bit here. But first, like I said, and then what we'll do is we'll take some callers after Jeremiah if we have time. I don't know if we will, but if you're interested, call in at 760-913-4130. That's 760-913-4130. Call in at about, maybe 10:20 or so, 10:25, and we'll try and get to you. And then also, I always ask questions on my Facebook page and Twitter page, about the question of today. And the question of today was, what, Billy?
Why does fear play such an important part of our lives?
Yeah, why does fear play such an important part of our lives? You and I will talk about it later for sure. And just listen to the show. I'll tell you, it's going to come out right now. So let's jump feet first into this sucker right now, folks. So let's define fear as per my favorite source out there, Wikipedia. Now, if you don't like Wikipedia, you can go stuff some sand in your ears and don't listen. But Wikipedia is a great starting point. It's a great point to get our brains active, to get it thinking, right? So this is what fear says. And here it goes. Fear is an emotion induced by a threat perceived by living entities, which causes a change in brain and organ function and ultimately a change in behavior, such as running away, hiding, or freezing from traumatic events. Fear may occur in response to a specific stimulus happening in the present or to a future stimulation, which is perceived as risk to health or life, status, power, security, or in the case of humans, wealth or anything held valuable. The fear response arises from the perception of danger, leading to confrontation with escape from, avoiding the threat, also known as the fight or flight response, which in extreme cases of fear, horror, and terror can be freeze response or paralysis. All right. That's a big one right there, right? That's the fight or flight. That's that cognitive function. That's the part you were wired with, right? The thing that's in your brain, your medulla, or no, it's your amygdala. I love saying amygdala. Say it for me, Billy.
Amygdala.
Amygdala. Everybody out there say it just one time out loud. Amygdala. It's fun to say. Now let me talk about that, all right? And how this whole thing works in your brain, all right? Because here's the neuropathology of fear and the process of fear. So the thalamus collects sensory data from the senses. Sensory cortex receives data from the thalamus and interprets it. The sensory cortex organizes information for dissemination to hypothalamus, fight or flight, amygdala, fear, or hippocampus, memory. The brain structure that is the center of most neurobiological events associated with fear is the amygdala, located behind the pituitary gland. The amygdala is part of the circuitry of fear learning. It is essential for proper adaptation to stress and specific modulation of emotional learning and memory. In the presence of a threatening stimulus, the amygdala generates the secretion of hormones that influence fear and aggression. One response to the stimulus in the form of fear or aggression commences. The amygdala may elicit the release of hormones into the body to put the person in a state of alertness in which they are ready to move, run, fight, etc. That's pretty heavy stuff, man. You're wired for this stuff, Billy. We're all wired for it, right? You get a sense of fear, there's some threat coming at you, and guess what you're going to do? This stuff is going to kick off in your brain. All right, it's this chemistry starts working, and you get a sensation, man, and it literally shuts down the rest of your brain from using that type of delayed response and cognitive understanding, all that stuff. Fear makes you just want to go, do something, right? Now that's one part, but fear can also be learned, folks. And halt if you think that's the only place fear comes from. Fear can also be learned, and this is what it says here too. So fear can be learned by experiencing or watching a frightening traumatic accident. For example, if a child falls in a well and struggles to get out, he or she may develop a fear of wells, heights, or enclosed spaces or water. There are studies looking at areas of the brain that can be affected in relation to fear. When looking at these areas, such as the amygdala, it was proposed that a person learns to fear regardless of whether they themselves have experienced the trauma or they have been observed in the fear of others. Now, this is a big deal. So you think about it as we grow up and how many times, your parents, and now I'm a proud father of two beautiful girls, my eldest, 3.5, I call the bear. My youngest, 1.5, I call the bruiser. Every single day, man, they're climbing up on the sofa. They're doing crazy things. They're running down into the water. They don't even know how to swim. And I'm like, oh, hold and hold. Fear, man, right? But they don't have it. But every day we teach them a little bit more about what to be afraid of, about strangers, about danger and all this stuff. And you think about it as you get older and older in your adolescence, when logic starts in your own brain, and then into, your young adulthood, and then into adulthood, man, you start to really take on fear in a new, unique type of way. And you think about that because fear can be a learned thing as well too, right? So the deal is, why is it important to learn to embrace your fears? Seriously, ask yourself that question. Why is it important to learn to embrace your own fears? Now, here's the deal, folks. If you want to succeed in anything in your life, seriously, if you want to succeed in your life, if you want to be able to keep the negative insurgency, which is all around us. Now, if this is your first time listening to Navy SEAL Radio, the negative insurgency is a pressure that we feel coming from all around us, right? It's coming from the internet. It's in our dialogue. It's in the pressure we feel at work. It's in our relationships. And it's the negativity that is integrated by people's own fears. It's by, by people wanting to hurt other people, or people just being afraid themselves and trying to contort the truth of how they perceive reality, and they push this on each other. And then, of course, there's, the other huge types of fears where people are actually gunning for you in a sense. Now, in our world, in the SEAL teams, it's a real deal. People want to kill us, right? When we go down range and we operate in Iraq or Afghanistan or Africa or wherever we are, people actually want to kill us. So that's a very real thing, right? And well, the same is true in your own lives when people are gunning for your position at work, or people are not working with you in your relationships. Man, this is all very real stuff. This is the negative insurgency. But folks, if you want to be able to succeed, if you want to be able to act out on your dreams, to fulfill your purpose, now think about that. To really live with purpose in your life, you have to learn to embrace the fears. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot defeat fear, folks. It is an impossibility to defeat fear. Now, listen, I know a little thing about fear, right? You try driving a dune buggy around Afghanistan, a place that had 25 million landmines when I first got there in the summer of '02. You try driving a dune buggy around a place with 25 million landmines, you're going to be a little afraid. Because any turn, especially because there's no maps, there's no roads, it's all just out in off-road driving. And with the Russians having dumped as many landmines there as you combine everywhere else in the world, it gets a little hairy when you take a wrong turn or you go off-roading a bit, and you're in a former Mujahideen stronghold. That can be hairy. Or when somebody actually takes a shot at you. That's hairy as well too. So, these things are huge, right? You have to be able to begin to embrace your fear and utilize it as an enhancer, as a way you can enhance your self-confidence, forge your self-confidence in a way that builds your commitment to living the team life, which is a huge component of all this, and also that it helps you generate a purpose. Because if you're afraid to do anything, how are you going to live with a purpose in your life? So it's absolutely necessary. Folks, I'm telling you, I promise you, having everything I've ever done in my life over the last 20 years of exploration, fear is a huge component of whether we succeed or fail. Now, it's critical for you to understand the physiology of fear, like we talked about. It's critical for you and your own physiology. When you get fired up, when your pulse rate starts jumping because you get nervous, when you're tongue-tied, when you get a little tongue-tied or your palms get sweaty, why is it happening? Why are you not prepared for that? All right? And then also understand where you learned your fear. Were your parents were they super afraid all the time? Were they afraid of everything around you? Or did you learn it from a traumatic experience? Do you have post-traumatic stress? And then if you do, what are you doing to overcome that? Are you actively engaged in going through that battle within your own heart and mind and your soul? Because folks, let me tell you what, if you don't have a nice balance, what I call the Froglogic triad, if you don't have a balance in your life from the physical self, the mental self, and the spiritual self, you don't have balance in that, it's because your fears have gotten the better of you, right? You're afraid to get in shape. You're afraid to push yourself mentally. You're afraid to get in touch with God and let your faith lead with love, all right? You're afraid of all these things. Now, why? Where does it come from? Because, folks, it's time now. I'm telling you. I promise you. It's time now to teach yourself to understand your own fears. To teach yourself how to open your arms and embrace fear, folks. I mean, this is a powerful, powerful tool in your lives. If you learn to open your arms, wrap them around your fear, give it this huge, giant hug like you would get from your loved ones or from your teammates, man. You know, you put that strength around your fear and you utilize it. You say, I know where you're coming from. I know where you are. I get it. And I'm not going to let you defeat me. I know I can't defeat you, but I'm going to embrace you. Because you're always there in my life. You're not going anywhere. Now, that's why, folks, you have to learn how to embrace your fears. Now, everybody always wants to know, and we'll talk more about this when Jeremiah gets on the line here in just a second, but why everybody out there wants to know, how do Navy SEALs learn to embrace their fear? One of the most questions all the time. I get it all the time. Why aren't you guys afraid? And I say, we are. but it doesn't control us, right? A little bit of fear is healthy. It's positive. It keeps you in check, keeps you on your toes, keeps you a strict adherence to your teammates and to your training, and makes you have faith in all these things. And it starts with us going through BUDS, basic underwater demolition SEAL training, right? When you step into that place and you spend your first week in phase 1, man, getting hammered, doing thousands of push-ups and flutter kicks, and you're in the water freezing your off, and it's just, I'm telling you what, folks, that fear is literally like a tsunami hitting you in there. But you know what overwhelms it is you start to tap into the fact that the guy next to you, he's just as afraid, but he's not going to back down. He's not going to let you down. He's got it all in him too, but he is determined to make something of his life, to find and fulfill that purpose, and he knows you're going to do it. So you both together aren't going to quit. You're not going to quit on allowing that fear to overwhelm you so much that it stops you, it inhibits you, it causes paralysis through analysis, and it just crushes you from achieving your purpose. That's what begins to happen in BUDS, folks. It's an amazing, amazing occurrence. It's really unique. And then all of a sudden in Hell Week, you go through this transformational. You literally go through the gates of fire, right? You go through the gates of fire. You cross over the threshold of understanding, wow, not only were my fears and my perceptions out of whack, but I also didn't quite understand who I was, what I was capable of, what I could do in relationship to a team. Now, that's important stuff to understand, folks. I'm telling you. When you begin to understand, hey, I can go further, longer, faster, harder, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and I can make sure that the person next to me, by serving them, by serving and strengthening their intestinal fortitude, makes me stronger too. It helps me embrace my fears at a higher level, and I'm living the team life. And the team life itself, folks, just enhances your ability to embrace fear. Just committing to others, serving the greater good. You serve the greater good on a daily life, in your daily life, folks, I guarantee you embrace fear. Every single day. Because you don't think about yourself, you think about other people and how you're going to help them. So this it becomes more pronounced once you go through SQT, you get your trident, now you're in platoon training, you're doing your platoon workup for 18 months, and then you deploy with your team. Now, over the past 14 years, folks, there have been a lot of deployments to combat environments. Thousands, right? Thousands of men in combat. And it's not just in our unit, it's Green Berets and MARSOC and PJs and the CCT guys and Rangers and Delta and Dev and you know what? All the other ground pounders out there as well too. Anybody that's gone in harm's way. All right? That's fear right there. Not knowing whether or not today's your day to get blown up, shot, or killed, folks. That's some substantial stuff. But if you allow your fear to overwhelm you, then guess what? You're dead in the water anyways. You're combat ineffective. Imagine if you were to step out the gates consumed with fear. Now you're really standing a chance of dying or getting someone else killed. It's heavy, heavy stuff, folks. But the one cool thing is that when you're in these environments, the strength that you get from your team, literally, and most of the time, a lot of times it can be an actual embrace from your teammates. A hug, a pat on the back, a high five, going to PT with somebody, just a supportive gesture, whatever it is, helping you pack for your gear, your loadout, whatever, man. Sharing a smoke with somebody, having a dip with somebody. Folks, those little things help that person embrace fear. Now, in our lives, in the civilian lives, I mean, those things kind of go unnoticed, right? Those little gestures we do to help support somebody, we take those for granted at such an alarming rate, man, that we are missing this critical piece of this critical training in our ability to embrace our fears. You have to be more cognizant of what that stuff is all about. All the little things other people do to help you accomplish your mission. That's important. That's part of you learning to embrace your fears, folks. Now this becomes really humongous when you're on the battlefield or when you're in dangerous circumstances. All right? Now, for you out there, think about it, how it translates in your life, and it translates in your relationships. It translates in your ability to succeed with what you're doing, all right? You know, many times, often, I must get a ton of, I probably get 50 emails a month through social media, people asking me, I don't have a team, Dave. I don't have a team, Instructor Rut. I don't have a team that can support me, that's helping me, that get through this challenging environment. Well, first thing I always say, man, is check yourself with God, man. God offers a consummate ability to be there for you and support. Granted, it's not actual dialogue unless you feel it is. Some of us do and don't, but I feel like I'm having a dialogue with him. So if you don't have that, all right, then find something else that you can do. Maybe it's meditation, or maybe it's a long-lost friend, or maybe you go and see you're part of a group, a support group, if you will, complete strangers that give you help, right? I mean, one of the reasons Alcoholics Anonymous works so phenomenally is because they have this wonderful support group that helps people in the greatest moment of fear, their time of sobriety. And that seems kind of strange for a lot of people out there, but I can tell you from past experience, man, that can be a fearful thing. All right? Here's the deal, though, folks. Guess what? That's where the support comes. That's where the initiator comes from. Now, if you can't find it in a support group, man, go out and meet somebody new. Get involved in a volunteer organization or a nonprofit, a charity, if you will, and put yourself out there. All right? Put yourself out there. Bang a nail for someone you've never known in Habitat for Humanity, and watch their face as you give them or help them achieve something. I mean, there's 1,000,001 charities out there that support veterans, right? Go volunteer for, Outward Bound or Lone Survivor Foundation or Red Circle Foundation or Wounded Wear or, there's so many out there, folks, that you can Roger, Heroes and Horses. I mean, they're just everywhere, folks, and you need to do that. If you're searching and you can't find the team, then you've got to come out of your comfort zone a little bit, get a little scared, but join a team that's going to give you what you need when you're in the combat of your own life. And that's what happens when we do that, folks. Now, here's the deal. All right, so I talked about before Froglogic. Froglogic is my motivational philosophy that I've been, working on for 20 plus years. I've been exploring the human condition in every environment imaginable. And you can think about this, all right? I mean, from the lacrosse fields at Penn State to the frigid waters of the Pacific to the mountains of Afghanistan 7 different times, as a training expert, as a behavioral coach, an author, a motivational speaker. Heck, man, I've been searching about fear as a motivational speaker, man, for the past 8 years, one of the top in the country. You can imagine getting up in front of 1,000 people. You might be a little nervous, but I've learned to embrace that fear in such a way that it really helps. And it's part of this whole embrace fear concept. And we're in the midst of this content distribution, all right? And because remember, at FLC, at Froglogic Concepts or Team Froglogic, it is our mission to provide you with a perpetual stream of free motivational media that matters in your life, all right? Free motivational media that matters in your life. Now, granted, we do offer products for sale. My book, Navy SEAL Training Self-Confidence, that you can buy online, an audio book. You can buy it in written. You can buy it all over the place. My website, on all the other places. I have a children's book called Doc Frog's Physical Training Manual. Please check that out. I've got that on all the different sources out there. And we sell, t-shirts like this Embrace Fear t-shirt I'm wearing right now. You also see it in the videos I'm doing. But folks, that's just to keep the business going, right? It's to continue to perpetuate free content for you, because that's my mission. That's what God wants me to do in this life, is to help you understand these things on how to forge your self-confidence, how to live the team life, how to embrace your fear, and how to live with purpose. So over the next 5 weeks after this week, we're going to be discussing the 5 missions in order for you to embrace fear. These are the 5 missions that I've come up with that really, when you dig down deep and you get into these missions and you get into the weeds with them, if you do these missions, if you accept these missions in your life, folks, I guarantee you will begin to embrace your fear. Now, is it going to be the be-all, end-all? No, of course, because it takes more than that. You got to recruit a good team. You got to have help around you. And that's why we're going to have a person like Jeremiah Patrick on here in just a few minutes, right? So over the course of the next 5 weeks, so starting a week from today, we're going to do Mission 1, Embrace Fear, Mission 1. And that mission is search for the truth. All right? If you're not searching for the truth of where your fear comes from and really trying to understand it, you're dead in the water, folks. You need to really get out there. And, the old saying, seek and ye shall find, right? Well, if you search for the truth in your life, you will find it eventually, all right? Now, the challenge is you find out new things about yourself, and it continues the search. And so it is a perpetual search for the truth. But that's the first step. That's mission 1. Mission 2 is accept your reality, all right? We all have realities, folks, that we cannot deny. And if the more you try to deny your own personal reality, which is a result of your own choices, whether you choose to be positive or negative, whether you choose to be a supportive teammate or a non-supportive teammate, whether or not you want to be successful or you want to just live a nice, happy, kind of quiet life, those are all choices on you. And you have to understand and accept that reality in order to move forward with learning to embrace your fear. And that's mission 2. So mission 3, folks, is retrain your brain. Now, here's the deal. If you've got fear in such a way in your life that it has literally inhibited you from doing anything you wanted to do, you have to be able to retrain your brain. And we do this in the SEAL teams. They do it in all spec ops. They do it in the military. They do it in the police force. They do it in the firefighters. Anybody out there that's pushed themselves to achieve at a higher level has learned to retrain your brain. Now, that's a big deal, folks. Now, most people out there say, I'm set. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Billy, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can't learn something new. I'm set in my ways. That just sounds stupid. When I hear it come out of my mouth, it just sounds stupid. All right? You've been given this God-given gift, this beautiful thing called your brain, your heart, your soul. And to think that you can't retrain your brain is absurd, folks. All right? So mission 3, in a couple weeks, retrain your brain. All right, now mission 4 is you got to test yourself. Every day you got to test your fears in some way, shape, or form. That's right. Especially if you have exaggerated fears, like the fear of heights, then you need to go jump out of an airplane. If you are afraid of public speaking, you need to go join Toastmasters. If you've got fear in your life, man, you've got to get out there and do it. All right? You have to get out there and actually embrace this fear and test yourself with it every single day of the week and twice on Sundays, right? All right, so that's mission 3, or mission 4. And mission 5, the last one, is you got to live with courage. Now, I can't wait to get in. This is going to be an amazing show. And living with courage is a very huge thing for people, right? Because a lot of times people haven't really defined courage. They don't understand what it is. Or every time they try to, they immediately get beaten down because they haven't learned to embrace their fear. They want to be courageous. They want to live openly. They want to have a good, strong foothold in their purpose. But just because of the level of negative insurgency in their life, they simply can't do it. So folks, mission 5, I will help you live with courage. All right, so those are the missions. The next 5 weeks, you will not be sorry, folks. I'm telling you. These are going to be amazing. Now also, just don't forget, this is a huge Embrace Fear content release. So every Monday, we release a new motivational video on our YouTube channel, and then I'll post it all over social media on Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, not Instagram, but where else? LinkedIn. I posted all over for you to enjoy. Now, the first one we posted out this week was awesome, right, Billy? It was our trailer to get us started. We've got how many do we have?
Over 4,000.
We've got over 4,000, almost 1,000 views a day. We would really help it if you guys help support us and push those videos out to everybody in your network, all your friends. Get us on board, folks. We really want to push this message out there to help people embrace their fear. So we're going to release a new video on Monday. I release a new blog on Navy SEAL blog on my website on Wednesdays, and then every Saturday on Navy SEAL Radio for the next 5 weeks, we will do a new mission in embracing fear. So is everybody fired up with that, Billy? You pretty fired up with that?
Pretty fired up.
And folks, I just want to introduce, this is Billy. This is my second cousin over here. He's an amazing guy. He's 18 years old, going on 35 years old. He helps me with these, helped with the videos, editing and producing and directing the videos. He helps do the show every single Saturday. I mean, this guy's really an amazing talent out there, folks. I guarantee you're going to see huge things from this guy in his life. And by the way, just one extra thing. This is a young man who's learned to embrace his fear at a level that matches Navy SEALs, that matches almost every other, badass I've met in my life, because just a week ago, we found out that he's 1 year clear cancer, which is an awesome HOOYAH, brother. So I just want to say I love you, Billy, and thanks for all your hard work, bud.
You're welcome, Dave. Love you too.
Awesome. That just fires me up. All right. So is everybody getting what we're talking about now? Is everybody tracking with us? Does everybody understand what fear can do in your life? Does everybody understand how just huge this thing is and what you need to do with it? All right. Listen, folks. I know it's not easy. I'm not, and I don't mean to come off as ridiculous with this, but it's hard, and that's okay. That's why you have people in your life to help you with it. People in your life to help you do this. That's why you got Navy SEAL Radio. That's why I bring people on to help you understand fear at a whole new level. And that's why now I'm going to bring on a teammate of mine. This guy is absolutely off the charts. He's an amazing guy. I really feel tremendously honored to welcome Jeremiah Patrick to Navy SEAL Radio. How you doing, bud? You on the air?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing today, Dave?
Holy cow, dude. Not only is it 4th of July weekend, but it's also, I've got you on the line to help me disseminate this amazing concept of embracing fear. Are you kidding me, dude? I'm about ready to bust out of my seat right now, brother.
I love it. It's my favorite holiday, favorite time of the year.
So tell us what you guys did yesterday, Jeremiah.
Dude, yesterday was super chill for me. I had my daughters all day long. I had a tea party with them midday. They are 2.5 years old. I have twin daughters. And then, put them down for a nap, cleaned the house up, and then went over to my buddy's house. Was having a barbecue, and it was kind of cool because there's, a bunch of babies running around, kids, anywhere from, 6 months up to 3 years old. And but I took a picture with 3 of my coaches, and it was just kind of funny just seeing, just the group that we had. But then it was, you had a Bellator veteran or 2 Bellator veteran fighters, Strike Force fighters, XFC fighters, and myself there. And it was just kind of fun. It was just all about enjoying our time with our family and our friends, and just really remembering what the 4th of July was all about, and, us being able to live in this beautiful country and have the freedom to do what we want.
Awesome, man. That just fires me up. If everybody else didn't hear that loud and clear, here you have, some of the hardest, most focused men on the planet that are focused on the most important things, and that's family in America, man. And that's just awesome, brother. I love it, man. We did basically the same thing too, and just all day long, I must have tried to get my oldest, the bear, to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and sing the national anthem like 10 times yesterday. It was awesome. All right, let's get into this, Jeremiah. All right. So the first, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about how much time you spent in the teams and then how long you've been fighting for?
Okay. I spent just under 12 years in the military. I deployed twice over to Iraq. I've been deployed over to Afghanistan as well. So it was a good chapter of my life. Was in the teens and absolutely loved it. And, I grew up doing kickboxing and wrestling. From elementary, junior high, and high school. Didn't really do much with it. I actually had a small little in-house amateur fight when I was in high school. I actually didn't even tell my parents about it. I told them it was like a little in-house tournament, and they dropped me off. And, they had no idea I was going to be fighting that night. And I actually kind of regret that because I wish my dad could have saw my first fight. But,
Awesome.
I was young, and I was afraid. I had a little bit of fear of what my dad would think, if the fight didn't go my way. So I actually didn't tell my parents about it.
That is awesome.
Didn't really do anything with it. Just always loved it. And then, in the teens, we were always like training here and there. Never really got involved with the gym. And then recently, about 3 years ago, I was getting ready to get out. And I found a gym here in South Haven, Mississippi, and I started training just because it was right around the road from the house where I was staying, and became friends with the coaches. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, man, you want to fight?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so that's kind of how it came about. It's a really good stress relief for me, and the adrenaline is just, it keeps me even. I like it.
I hear you loud and clear, brother. I love it, man. There's nothing better than getting on the mats with your buddies and just getting the heck kicked out of you for a good 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So what I want to ask, and I think what a lot of people out there need to understand and gauge is how guys like us, how we define fear. So how would you define fear in your life, Jeremiah?
Well, well, first of all, we'll start off with like the actual definition. So the actual definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that something or someone is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. And the verb is to be afraid of something or someone is likely to be dangerous, painful, or threatening. And I think each individual out there needs to realize that fear, it's inside of all of us, but how we address that fear and how we handle ourselves is up to each individual. And I think that just comes down to a mindset and how you can really harness that fear. I think you can use fear as a motivator, or you can use it to break yourself down. And let me explain that a little bit. Okay, so going into BUD/S, I was a very small guy. I was skinny. I'm not a very tall guy. I've always been like the small guy in the group of my friends and everyone that I've always hung out with. And, going into BUD/S, I remember when I first told a lot of people I was going to join the Navy and become a Navy SEAL, a lot of people laughed at me. And yeah,
Yep.
I was just like, okay, roger that. Okay, check. So I use that as a motivator. But I can honestly tell you, in BUD/S, I was never really afraid. I never had a fear of the training because I trusted the instructors, and I knew that they were going to teach me everything that I needed to know, and that I used my fear of failing my family and friends as a stronger motivator than any other fear that could come into my mind. So honestly, the fear of anything else in training really didn't have any place in my mind. And Dave, I'm going to tell you this right now, and you're going to laugh, but whenever I tell people this, they're just like, okay, how were you a SEAL? I'm claustrophobic, and I have a huge fear of drowning.
That's awesome.
Dude, bro, I'm dead serious. Like if I'm at a pool party and there's a bunch of people messing around in the pool, I get out of the pool not because I'm afraid that any of them is going to drown me or anything, but I just don't want how my reaction is going to be to do that to one of my friends or family. Like I'm really uncomfortable when people play fight and horse around in a pool because I don't think a lot of people realize at what level, that could really end up at. And like I said, I have a huge, huge fear of drowning, and I'm claustrophobic. So I put myself out of situations, and in buds, you have to go through drown proofing and all that stuff. Yep. And I just used my natural fear of letting my family down and letting myself down and this country, because I knew, at this time that we needed as many people overseas fighting the fight. So I just didn't allow that fear in my mind of the drowning part. And, I got through drown proofing and everything without failing one event.
That's unbelievable, dude. And that just goes to show you, the power of how you can manipulate the fears that exist inside you as a positive force. And that's what we're talking about, right? Yeah. Embracing your fear. So when you went to Iraq, the first time, let's say the first time you went and you were in Ramadi, which was the most dangerous place in the world, how did you utilize a similar approach in how you went into combat, or what did you do then?
No, I think, it was, you're talking about 06. That was a pretty insane deployment. We lost a couple of guys, Mikey Mansour, Mark Lee, Ryan Job later on due to injuries, but a couple other guys that got hurt and injured. A lot of people don't believe it, but, I've talked to some other guys, like, there wasn't a lot of fear on that deployment. And I think the reason why, and I've thought about this before, is just because I trusted myself and my teammates that there was no reason to be afraid. I'm a big component of, God's always in control.
Awesome.
My days are numbered no matter what. So whether I'm back in the States or if I'm overseas or if I'm sleeping in my bed, or it doesn't matter. My days are numbered and I have a purpose. So I didn't allow some stupid, useless fear to come into my mind to hinder my ability to do my job. I just didn't believe in it. I just didn't think there was any reason for it, and I just had fun with it. It was a good deployment. It was like the Wild Wild West. There's a lot of good stuff that was done. We killed a lot of bad guys. We made a huge difference in that area, in that region, and I don't, and honestly, we were going at such a high tempo. I don't think any of us really had the time to process what was going on and be afraid of anything. I mean, our training is unlike anything else out there. We have a high injury and casualty rate in the SEALs training, and that's because we want to train as hard, if not harder, than our deployment's going to be. So when we get over there, it's like, oh, really? Okay. What else do you guys got? And
that's so awesome.
That's what I was an instructor after those deployments as well, and that's what I used to tell guys. I'm like, hey, we're going to put you in more messed up situations. We are going to make it harder. We're going to be more intense. That way, when you're overseas, you're just like, okay, what else you guys got? And that's just, we just want guys walking around with the confidence that they are the baddest guys out there, and we knew we were. So when you know that you're the baddest guys out there, and here's the other thing. Before we went out on every mission, Dave, I made sure we got the guys together and we said a group prayer. You know what? That's a huge, huge factor when you're saying a group prayer with the guys, and you look around and you have a group of the baddest, highly trained guys with you, and you just said a group prayer and you have God behind you, and it's kind of hard to be afraid of anything.
Oh, man. Amen to that right there. I mean, that's the amazing thing that I think a lot of people just don't get is about us and about how we approach fear and how we approach life, and is this 100% commitment towards each other in terms of faith, and that faith in each other and the willingness that we have to do whatever it takes in order to help the man next to us succeed and ultimately achieve the common, the common mission or whatever, what we've been tasked to do. Now the coolest thing, Jeremiah, is when you hear this, and by the way, I told you this last year when we chatted about that deployment in particular, and just, how proud, guys that weren't there are of you guys and did what you did in Iraq during those times, and just how impressed we are, and just how thankful and how blessed we are to have you guys a part of the brotherhood. And we just, I just want to share that with you again, bro. Thank you so much for that effort.
Appreciate it, brother.
So when you left the teams, you've got this amazing experience as an operator, an instructor, all this thing. So as you left the teams and moved into your civilian life, and what was some of those experiences about fear and about all ever that you took and translated into your new life as a civilian, and also your new life as an MMA fighter?
Okay. Yeah, I'll address the civilian job side first, and then I'll address the fighting. I'm a big component. I'm sorry, not a big component. I'm a big believer in personal development. I think if you're not developing yourself as an individual, as a leader, you're going to fall behind the curve. And luckily, I was able to be a part of a pretty awesome network marketing company while I was in the SEAL teams, and they were all about personal development. And another one of my fears is public speaking and talking to people, because I grew up with a speech impediment.
No.
I was in speech therapy. Yes. I was. Hey, you give me one beer and you can hear it. My wife always teases me. She can hear it. If I have a glass of wine with her or a beer or something, like it comes out.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so I was in speech therapy all throughout elementary school, and so that was always something I was really self-conscious about, and so I got into this network marketing company because I liked the idea of sales, and I was like, well, if I ever get out, maybe sales is something I could do, because there's no limit to what you can make. It's whatever you put into it, you get out of it. And I was like, well, if I put into it what I know how to, then I could probably make some pretty good money. And so then I started just teaching myself as much about sales and speaking and everything else like that. And, I get out of the teams, and I landed a job as a sales rep at a pretty awesome company that I'm still at, MBT Business Capital. And, I started there, and within, I think it was, 8 months, I got promoted to sales manager. And, it was real cool to see that happen, because I don't have a college degree. All I have is my high school and military experience. And I was able to land this position. And one of the things I have on my whiteboard that it's still written out there, is just to be fearless. And one of the things I always have to deal with every day is getting on the phone. Am I going to mess up my words? Am I going to switch them around? Am I going to sound like an idiot when I'm trying to, pique someone's interest to switch the business over to our company? Am I going to know everything about the company that I need to know? Because I stepped into this industry not knowing anything, and I had to teach myself each day about it. And I had awesome sales guys that I surrounded myself with, that I worked with in the company that helped me out. The owners of the company are great, but I still had that small little piece of fear inside of me, and I just told myself, okay, be fearless. Awesome. And one of the things I got from my buddy's dad, this guy by the name of Steve Little. He's a self-made millionaire. He no college. He hasn't had a job since he was 19. He's in his 50s. So I tend to pay attention to guys like those. And he, one of his sayings is, "I will do today what others won't, so tomorrow I can have what others don't."
That's cool.
And so I wrote that down on the whiteboard too, and I just told myself, I have to do what other people want, and I just kept going and going and going, and eventually, kind of came over it, and made some pretty good numbers, and was able to make sales manager, and it was kind of cool to be able to transition from the teams and do that. And yeah, there's some times where I'd get so frustrated, and you just have to take a step back and like, okay, what's important? What's your goals? What are you focused on? And like I said, you just manipulate your fear towards a motivator. And I just look at my kids and my wife, and I was like, okay, well, if I don't sell, if I don't do this, what are we going to do to pay rent and pay the rest of our bills? So
wow.
I use those fears as a greater motivator.
That's so awesome, Jeremiah. I mean, there's so many great lessons in that, and a lot of people often wonder, is it difficult to transition from the SEAL teams into civilian life? And you guys must not be afraid of anything and all this. But folks, it's a very different mindset. And Jeremiah proves to you that you can change mindsets. You can use things from your past that have been enhancers and take them and apply them in any aspect. You just have to learn how to formulate them that way. So, how do you do that with MMA fighting?
Okay, so MMA fight, it's fun for me. I enjoy training. I love the competition, and I'm a very, very loving, caring guy.
Amen.
But I do love the competition of MMA. I do like getting in there, and it's a good stress relief for me to be able to train and get your face beat on a little bit, your body beat on, and do the same thing back. The fear of on the MMA aspect, brother, it's just like the SEAL teams. Like I know I'm in a good situation, and here's the thing. You look at considering what we did overseas and all the missions that we did and everything else like that, and then you look at the fact that, sorry, one of my daughters woke up, so
no sweat.
I have to talk to her quick. Hey, baby. All the stuff that we did overseas, and then you look at the fact that, people are like, oh my goodness, you're getting locked in a cage and you're going to go fight the guy. I'm like, yeah, but it's a padded cage. There's a referee standing right there to make sure nothing goes wrong. I have gloves on. He has gloves on, and there's some rules. I mean, honestly, so it's just a competition. It's just like football or any other hardcore contact sport, like rugby. I mean, dude, look at rugby players. They don't wear anything.
Totally.
I mean, so it's a sport. There's rules and there's protection. So I use, and of course, do I get a little nervous once in a while when I'm training? Yeah. I mean, the guys I train with, Jake Underwood, Zach Underwood, Andy Urich, all the guys up at Memphis Judo and Jiu-Jitsu I train with, they're all top-ranked fighters, and I'm an amateur fighter with 4 fights.
That's
awesome.
These are
top-ranked pro fighters that they're just beating my butt every chance they get. Hi, baby. And, and so I just use that as an excitement. I use it to be excited, and I don't want to let them down. And the times that I've, stepped in the cage to fight, I just put my mind somewhere else. I just, I walk out to Amazing Grace by the Dropkick Murphys.
Love it.
I'm wearing cutoff cami shorts, and I'm carrying an American flag. And so as I'm walking out there to train, I'm just thinking about all the boys that we've lost. And win or lose, I'm going out there to do it for myself, to better myself, and it's just something personally that I need to do. So I don't let any of the stupid fears of what are people thinking, what could happen. Yeah, hold on, baby. I just don't let those just play a part.
So there you have it, folks. Jeremiah,
I just don't allow it.
That is phenomenal, dude. We got about a minute and a half left. I just want to thank you so much for coming on, brother. God bless you. Thank you for everything you're doing. Good luck in your fights. Good luck with your daughters today. And just God bless you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, brother. Hey, God bless you, buddy. I appreciate your time.
You got it. Out. So there you have it, folks. That was Jeremiah Patrick on the show. You can't beat this, folks. This is what Embrace Fear is going to be about for the next 5 weeks. You got to pay attention. Please you know, this is going to be a huge thing for you guys to learn to embrace your fear the next 5 weeks on Froglogic. Watch for our new video this Monday. Watch for the next blog Wednesday. And we're coming back next week for mission number 1, search for the truth, folks. Just want to thank everybody out there in my life who's helped me embrace my fears, my coaches, the instructors, my teammates, my family, my wife, my kids. It just means the world to me so much. I'm David Rutherford, host of Navy SEAL Radio, folks. We're here to help you embrace your fear. And don't forget, I'm your new swim buddy, so let's get motivated. Ow!
Load the weapon, boys, and aim to kill. Don't you know?